was your experience in boot camp? Did you come into it like Jimmy Matteo and all fire and gumption, or more of a Michael Kudlitz where he's like, really, you're going to sit here and yell at me for 6 weeks, really?
Yeah, no, I was more of a Michael Kudlitz, I think. I remember getting told that I was going to boot camp, I think, as I say, about a week before, and I was actually working. I had some time in between, obviously starting the show, so I got some work in a bar just for a few weeks, just to kind of get some money, and I remember receiving these jump boots. And I remember that I thought, well, I should probably try and wear these in. So I remember I was basically working in this bar, and behind the bar I was wearing my jump boots. I was literally serving people behind the bar, thinking, in a week's time I'm supposedly heading to boot camp with this guy Caplan Dye, who I'd heard about. The stories had preceded him, and I was kind of trying to wear my boots in while working behind this bar, and thinking this is just such a surreal experience. And then I remember the day we got picked up and taken to Hatfield to basically, change our gear and basically get on a coach to Longmoor. And I wasn't prepared at all. I mean, I think it really hit me when I suddenly arrived, and there was Captain Dale Dye as we got off the coach. I remember sitting on the coach actually from Hatfield to Longmoor, and I remember just as soon as the cadre started calling our names, our character names, and we got split into platoons. There had been lots of banter beforehand while we were getting changed. Everyone meeting each other and saying hey, and excitement about what was ahead. And then I remember getting on the coach, and I remember there was just silence. I remember sitting next to a guy who I'd never met before, and we just sat on this coach for about an hour's drive. And I remember that hour drive, there was just silence. Not one word was spoken as we headed to Longmoor. It was kind of eerie. I think suddenly it hit us that we were heading to a camp in just outside London, and we were going to go through a rigorous training for 2 weeks, 10 days, however long it was. And it was pretty tough. I wasn't ready for it at all. I kind of just thought, on that coach journey, I thought mentally I've just got to prepare myself just as a human being to go through this experience, let alone as an actor preparing for this show. And I just thought, it's going to be really tough. But I just thought I'm just going to have to throw myself in and and just go with the flow. And I say physically I was kind of partially prepared, but nowhere near as prepared as kind of 5-mile runs every morning and that kind of stuff. But it was kind of scary, and I think it hit us as we got off the coach and we started to get shouted at and stuff, and we kind of got into formation and suddenly went into the dining area, and there was Tom Hanks, and we were standing there being shouted at the end of the table, and I was just like, what the hell is going on? Where are we, and what's happening here? It was kind of phenomenal, and as I said, I was just standing there to attention as somebody was yelling at me. Tom Hanks was making this amazing kind of impassioned speech about what we were about to embark on, and then suddenly, strangely, Steven Spielberg walked up to me and introduced himself and said, "Hi, I'm Steven Spielberg." And I remember looking at him thinking, I know exactly who you are. I've been a fan. I didn't say this, but I was thinking this in my mind. I was thinking, you are my idol, and you're standing in front of me. I'm being barked at by some kind of officer, and I'm shaking hands with Steven Spielberg. The whole thing was totally surreal. It really was.
That's amazing.
Going back to your question, no, I wasn't pumped like Jimmy Matteo and Scott Grimes. These guys were, they were pumped and ready to go, and I didn't have the kind of preparation time to kind of get myself in gear. I just tried to kind of mentally prepare myself, because I knew that it's going to be hard physically, but mentally was going to be the toughest thing, and that was my main preparation on the coach.
When they created the band, when they put all you guys together and made you do everything as a unit, like the atomic sit-up and the caterpillar push-up, there was 52 of you guys in a line, and it really is as an amazing testament to how far they are wanting you to go as actors to become these soldiers during World War II. But in all reality, it also basically made sure that you guys were doing something nobody else has done before, which is also why you still meet every year for barbecues.
I mean, we couldn't have done Band of Brothers without boot camp. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind. I mean, boot camp was was so valuable. It was just unbelievable. And it's, you know, as much as just to kind of bond us as kind of actors, kind of coming together, you know, to become a band of brothers, literally. I mean, we have got so close, you know, as kind of as people, but also just because we needed to kind of go through that rigorous training to really understand the technicalities of the show. You know, it was a massive undertaking, and you just had all these huge battle sequences that you just, with different directors a lot of the time directing an episode, and you couldn't really have or you didn't have the luxury of time to just say, okay, this is how we're going to do it, this is how we're going to plan it all. You basically just had to kind of, you know, Dale Dye would just come and yell at us and say, okay, get information, or, you know, this is what we're going to do, this is how we're going to do it. And we've been trained to do that, and we just got on with it, and they just kind of were able to just place the cameras and basically shoot. And, you know, we got to know the weapons, and obviously I was a machine gunner, so I got to know that 30 cal very well. And yeah, it was boot camp was you know, was so important, and as I say, I don't think we could have done the show without it. We really needed to know our stuff, and we really did by the time we left. And as I was just saying, you know, watching the video diaries again, Ron's video diaries, you suddenly realise how far we came in those 2 weeks from when we arrived to when we left.
Oh, and, yeah. Well, if you look at the first part of the video diaries, and only for what I can what I've experienced from talking with the rest of the guys, you guys showed up as you know, actors, and at the end of it, you were soldiers.
Absolutely.
And you know, granted, well. And I use the term soldiers lightly because obviously you weren't part of anything extremely military, and I don't want to disparage any of the soldiers worldwide who would say, they're still actors, but they got nice boots on. But you know what you know what I mean by that. It's not you were definitely a different breed of actor by the time you were done with the boot camp. Oh
yeah, and I mean, just to say, kind of mentally, we kind of looked like you know, the 101st Airborne when we arrived back at Hatfield, and obviously guys have talked about the experience of when we walked. They got us off the coach before we arrived at the studio, and they marched us in. I mean, that was an amazing moment. It was a phenomenal moment for us and for, you know, all the guys that were working on the show, because, you know, literally people were hanging outside windows looking at us, kind of going, well, the guys that left here were actors, and the guys that have come back are ready to do this. You know, I believe that we can do this now, and, you know, and Captain Dale Dye says it as well in the speech, that by the end he believes that we can do it. And at the beginning, you know, you kind of think, okay, this is going to be a massive undertaking. It's huge, and you know, we just got on with it. We knuckled down, and you know, we just dedicated ourselves to kind of doing the best that we could possibly do. And you know, I'm you know, amazed at myself and every other guy who was able to kind of, you know, go through that experience and come out ready to kind of make this epic series. It was truly special. You know, it was life-changing, definitely.
Yeah, and speaking of Captain Dale Dye, I do want to bring up our friend Emma from Sweden, who's in the chat room right now. She was wondering if you had a Dale Dye impression.
You know, I'm not going to attempt it. I mean, having heard...
oh, come on, don't be a sissy.
I'll tell you why I'm not going to, because I heard so many, you know, and I just kind of think I'm just not going to do it justice. And I'm heading to LA tomorrow, and I may well, hopefully, meet up with well, I'm definitely going to meet up with some of the guys, but I may well cross paths with Captain Dale Dye, and if I don't do it justice, I just feel like the guys are going to rip me. So I'm going to leave that to the guys that were really good at it.